Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Sports Talk in the Burgh. My name is Logan Carney, and with me today is the Buffalonian Adam Maluso. Almost forgot your name there for a second, of course not. And the never duplicated Greg Sutton. Now, guys, we got a jam-packed show with the Steelers, Penguins, Pitt football, and, of course, Robert Morris Sports. So why don't we just dive right in? Now, the Bungles bungled again against the Steelers as the Steelers defeated Cincinnati to improve to 3-2-1 on the year. So, guys, after two consecutive big victories for the Steelers and the return of disgruntled but talented running back, have you changed your thoughts on the outlook of the season?
Logan, I'd like to take the lead on this one real quick. I don't think that I haven't changed my output at all, or my thoughts about them so far. I knew coming into the season the Steelers were probably going to be one of the mediocre teams, probably middle of the pack. I'm not saying good, not saying bad, but one of the things is Le'Veon Bell didn't, last year in his first 6 games, James Conner's outperformed Le'Veon Bell statistically. And actually,
Slightly.
a month ago,
Yeah.
you said, the last time that I was on, you said something that's kind of catching my eye. I want to see if you're sticking to your guns.
Sure.
So why don't we roll the clip that
A once-in-a-lifetime talent, and is more valuable to the Steelers' offense than Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown.
After some consideration and seeing what Conner's been able to do with his 7 touchdowns he scored compared to Bell's 4 in his first 6 games, do you still stick to your guns about Le'Veon Bell being the most important person on the offense?
I do. And let me ask you, do you know how many interceptions Ben has this year?
I do not.
He has 6, all right?
Okay.
Which is 6th in the league behind Bortles and average, at best, quarterbacks. So, without Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, 26 games, this is since 2013, since he came in the league, 55 touchdowns and 31 interceptions.
Is that without Bell?
That's without
Okay.
Bell. With Bell, in 29 games, so 3 more games, 56 touchdowns, granted, one big difference, 20 interceptions. Ben Roethlisberger is statistically worse without Le'Veon Bell. He has 11 more interceptions in 3 less games. That is almost twice as much for average. It's about 0.6 average per game and 0.19 average without. Again, the Steelers' offense is much better with Bell. They don't turn the ball over
But here's
enough.
my question, Logan. I think, in my opinion, I would rather sacrifice the turnovers for the points that are being scored. 3 more touchdowns, I think that's a lot more important.
Sacrifice
Yeah, I
the turnovers.
agree.
You
I totally agree.
You mean when they threw 3 turnovers in Cleveland and ended up tying that game?
I'm
Because
just-
they threw 3 turnovers. Because Ben threw 3 interceptions. It's a different offense, a different style of play. Without him in the lineup, the Steelers statistically turn the ball over more. And that's just a fact.
Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins have been looking on point as the 2018-19 NHL season has gotten underway. Captain Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Jake Gensel, they're just a few of the names who have tallied on the score sheet for the Black and Gold so far in the early portion of the season. But there's also an interesting scenario shaping up between the pipes with netminders Matt Murray and backup goalie Casey DeSmith. So my questions for you guys are, do you think that we could potentially be looking at another championship caliber team like we saw in 2016 and 2017? And also, who do you guys think is the more standout goaltender right now, DeSmith or Matt Murray?
I'm going to catch you on something else you said. You said, Crosby tallying the score. He's yet to score. And he's their best player. And yes, he has 4 assists, through only 5 games, and that's decent. But, Malkin, 1 goal. Again, he also has 8 assists. He leads the points for the team. But these guys need to score. These are their top players. All right? And we can talk about, which goalie's better. I mean, I don't think they should replace the guy that's won 2 cups in 3 years. I don't think they should do that. Or 2.5, I think is the more specific term. I don't think they should do that. And yes, DeSmith has played better. You go with the hot goalie for now, but Murray's going to be your goalie at the end of the year. But as far as I'm concerned, when Crosby and Malkin eventually do step up, this is one of the best teams in the National Hockey League, and I don't think there's very few. I think there's very few teams that can come against them.
So what my thing is here is the Pittsburgh Penguins is they're consistently a team that's going to make the playoffs. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of young talent. So I think what's going to happen is the Penguins are going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to have a Stanley Cup contention this year. But with the whole goalie situation, I think it's going to be nice for Matt Murray to finally have somebody like Marc-Andre Fleury to lean on and kind of get his off days that he needs.
Well, I think that they have a huge thing here too. I don't think they will reach the Cup either. I got to agree with you there. I think they're going to go out in the East Final, which a lot of people didn't. It surprised them last year when they went out against Washington, but I think that Pittsburgh's just not going to make it this year. And I got to say, I think the one team I think could take them out, Toronto.
I mean, we're 5 games in, and we're already saying they're going to go out in the Eastern Conference Final. When these stars pick up, they'll be good. Now, the NHL season started recently. My apologies. And most teams are already 5 games in. Of course, there's still a long ways to go, like I alluded to earlier. But I'm curious, Adam and Greg, which team do you think is a surprise, and which one do you think is going to disappoint you this year?
Well, Greg, the way Greg's looking at me right now, we both we're thinking about the same team here. Now, I know I'm from Buffalo, but you know what? It's a lot of people say that I could be biased, but you know what? I got to say the surprise here, Sabres. I know they're only 3-3 after 6 games. Yeah. But 500 is a better improvement than the couple years beforehand.
I'm looking on the screen here, Adam. I really like the creativity in your picks, going with my disappointment and Greg's surprise. It's very interesting.
So,
very original picks that you
I just have been watching on TV. What I've been seeing, and Buffalo. You know what? I just think that they're going to surprise quite a few people with the youth and with the assets that they picked up in the offseason. They got Connor Sherry from
I thought they were
Pittsburgh.
still tanking.
And
they got Jeff Skinner.
I still think they want to tank.
I think this is the exciting thing about this, too. Right now, looking at the stats so far this season, the ex-Penguin, who has a lot of playoff experience, Connor Sherry, is second right now in points with 4. He has 3 goals and an assist. But Logan, it's the important thing. They're producing early on. That's the important thing.
Early on, 5 games.
Are they producing?
We're producing more than we were last year.
Are they producing?
We were producing.
Okay, 5 games.
Logan,
5 games. 5 games.
Yeah.
James Connor's only played 6 games starting. So why don't you give him a chance, all right? Thank you very much. So you can calm down.
You can't tell the difference between 82 games and a 60
I think the Sabres are a big shock
I'm
this year.
sorry
for
for
me,
you.
yes. And the one player you got to look out for, number 1 pick Rasmus Dahlin. I know he just got his first NHL goal against Arizona on Saturday. But you know what? This kid has big things ahead of him. He's going to step up and really be able to play. Once he gets some shots through the net, have some defense backing him up, or have some forwards that he can look for in front of the net, he can really get it moving. Vegas, though, really, really shocking. But part of me is kind of expecting this because I think after the Cinderella run they had last year,
going to have 40 goals?
Honestly, no.
Yeah, exactly. You think he's going to have 30 goals?
No, not even that.
You lose 20 goals from him alone. I mean, that's a huge drop-off.
Right.
I agree 100%. I can't. I mean, a disappointment for Vegas is probably outside of the top 4 in the Western Conference. And I don't think there's many people outside of Vegas fans that think they can get through, in the top 4.
And I think it's just because teams just know their system now. They know how they play. They're not going to be so, I don't even know if this is the right word, but intimidated and surprised like they were last year.
All right, guys, so why don't we transfer from professional sports over to the collegiate side. Let's talk a little bit about Pitt football. Right now, they've been kind of on a fall. They've only won two or 3 games in conference. So is Pitt going to be able to come back and take over first place from Virginia Tech, or are they going to kind of fall off the cliff and end the season on a sour note?
I got to say, Virginia Tech's going to stay there. And I think the one thing you got to look at is this. Pitt is being outscored in terms of points per game, rushing yards, and passing yards by their opponents.
Yeah, and they took on 3 top 10 teams.
You know what? It's still, though, that says something that I know it's 3 top 10s, but 8, and I know I've said it before, conference play is not the same as non-conference, but that's got to show you something. If you're not at least putting up decent numbers, that's.
I mean, they're putting up decent numbers. They're averaging 191 yards per game from the rush. And again, I like how you said that they're falling because they only had 2 or 3 conference wins. They've only played 3 games.
Very true.
So they're second in the
They
conference right now behind Virginia Tech, who lost to Old Dominion earlier in the year, and Old Dominion before then never beat a Power 5 team. And Virginia Tech lost to them. They are a beatable team. Pitt almost beat them last year. Pitt beat Miami last year. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the Coastal because Pitt is also, they lost to North Carolina. They can lose to Duke just as easily as they can beat Virginia Tech. They're one of those teams. But are they definitely in the hunt? They're definitely in the hunt.
I mean, I'm not going to say they're not in the hunt,
No,
Logan,
yeah,
but
me
I
neither.
don't think that they have a chance to win the ACC or even compete towards the end of the conference
Same here.
play.
Well, if you're going to say they're
I'm
not
just-
in the hunt, how can you also say they don't have a chance?
Because
Because
they're
in
in
the
the-
You can
hunt,
be in the
you have
hunt
a
and
chance.
not take that top
Exactly,
spot.
you can be, and that's a thing that happens very often in many sports. But the thing is, Logan, is they have played a lot of top 10 teams. But when you play those top 10 teams, you have to be able to show what your medal's made out of.
You gotta have that
and
mentality.
They got
They did it, Notre Dame.
Okay, but what about Penn State? What about
They did against Notre Dame.
That doesn't matter. That's
But
one
you said
game.
show what you made
that's
of. They
one
did at
game.
least.
You
Okay,
gotta
that's
be able to
one
take out
time.
Penn
That's one
State.
time against a Power
In a
10
game
school.
at the end of the year, it doesn't matter in conference.
I'm just
What
saying.
top 10 team are they playing the rest of the year? What top 10 team? None of them.
All right,
Exactly.
that's fine. You can
None of
wherever
them.
you think. So, on the pitch, with their win over St. Francis University, will Jane Schleicher and the rest of the club be able to turn their conference play around and be able to win their first NEC crown in the program history, or will they fall short for the 26th straight season in a row?
I can't see them winning the NEC crown. It was a great win, but Central Connecticut is just, I mean, there's a reason. They have one loss all year. You know, it's 6-0, and again, records don't mean much. Well, it means much when you're when you're undefeated. You know, because maybe they can make the playoffs. It's because the bottom 4 teams, or the bottom 5 teams, or really, 6 teams. I keep adding another one, but the bottom 5 teams: Mount St. Mary's, Bryant, Robert Morris, Sacred Heart, Wagner, LIU, Brooklyn, are all about as good as each other. So yes, they can win the conference. I mean, make the playoffs. Will they actually win the conference? I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I gotta agree. And a lot of people, I know we've been focusing a lot on Jane Schleicher because she is an offensive dynamo for this team. But you know what? You got to be able to chip in on all fronts, and I think the win was huge. Here's my thing, though. I just don't think that they will really move. I agree with you, Logan. I think they'll definitely make the playoffs, but I just don't think especially where teams like CCSU are at now, it's just not going to help them push them to the NEC crown. Unless teams start knocking off CCSU, which I'm going to be honest and blunt, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah,
And this is the big thing, though, guys. I don't think that they can really have that playoff contention at all. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I mean, in the first half, they're outscored 13-9, and that's just something you can't go into the playoffs with.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, though, is Central Connecticut pulling away. 8 goals allowed all year, not even in the top 6 in the conference out of 9 in saves. And so they have the number 1 defense in the league. They don't give up shots. Their goalies are very, very rested for the playoffs.
I don't understand how they're going to make playoffs is all.
Well, guys, thank you for this first segment. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere because we have a new segment coming up. Stay tuned. You're all going to be excited about it.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Robert Morris is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a new segment on Sports Talk in the Burgh called Yin Zin. In this segment, we will look at upcoming games this week and let you all know what intrigues us and what doesn't. So, guys, we'll start with RMU versus Central State. Yin's in?
This Yinzer's in. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to go for Robert Morris. I mean, they've been kind of running through a rough patch defensively, but it's starting to get into the time of year where things are going to start to click for teams. And I think Robert Morris being competitive, like so far, I'd say they've been pretty competitive. I think they really have a chance to go out there and have a chance against Central State.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people want to say that, like, oh, if they win this will just be their second win overall. You know what? I will say that the one game that really showed me something about this Army football team, their heart, their fight back, the 49-46 loss against Bryant. And I know a lot of people are going to say, too, oh, it's D2, it's Division II, doesn't mean anything. You know what? A lot of people said the same thing about Virginia State, and that was still a nail-biter. But you know what? I honestly think that this Colonial team is hungry. Yes, they need to work out some kinks on defense, but I actually think, I know Sam Anthony said it, before the Virginia State game, well, they're going to dominate huge offensive output, and it didn't end up that way. I think it's going to be different this game around RMU's.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking on a D2 team. They beat a D2 team early this year. This looks
in
like
a nail-biting game, man.
Nail-biting game, but they're a much better team. They've been competitive, like you said, even against Duquesne. They were competitive until really the second half. Against Central Connecticut, they never trailed by more 14, so Central Connecticut ran out the score at the end. So this Yinzer is also in. But what about the next game that we have on our list? Pitt versus Duke in 2 weeks. Yin's in for that?
I'm out. I'm going to say I'm out for that one. I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, I don't keep up a lot with Pitt, so I think that might play a little bit of a factor, but I just don't think Pitt, like I said earlier, has the mettle to play good football right now.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I don't follow Pitt a lot either. I just think that they're not quite at it yet. Now, again, we talked about it previous segment, ACC conference play, they need to start racking up wins. Just don't think it's going to happen against the Blue Devils.
I mean, the Blue Devils are not that great. I mean, they're not that great of a team. But, they got Pitt, two players that this Yinzer keeps watching them to get excited about. Quadri Olson and Darren Hall, both averaging over 6 yards per carry. And we forgot to mention the great rushing tandem that Robert Morris has with Elijah Jackson and Terrence Stevens. Robert Morris, Pitt, Quadri Olson, Darren Hall, even better than them. And this Yinzer keeps going back for more. Our next game on the list, Yin's in, Penguins and Leafs.
Oh, heck yeah, I'm in. This Yinzer's in. I know, it's ironic because I'm from Buffalo, but but this Yinzer's in.
We'll adopt you. Yinzer's adopting you.
Yeah, so I got to say, you know what? This is a game where I really think it's going to test the mentality of the Pens, the mentality, because you know what? Toronto's just been on a tear. I've been following them their last couple of games. This team has just been unstoppable offensively. You have guys like Mitch Marner, Kasperi Kapanen, Austin Matthews, John Tavares. It doesn't seem like anybody can touch this team. You know what? It's going to be a little bit hit and miss right now. It's kind of a 50-50. Will they, won't they? But I definitely think if you have some of your big scorers getting in and scoring for the black and gold, Pens could actually make this a tough one and give the Leafs only their second loss of the season because they're 6-1 right now.
See, I'm in big time. I'm a big Pens fan. I mean, they've done pretty well the past 3 seasons. It's a shame what happened last season. But if we're looking here, I mean, Pens are producing pretty well. It's only 6 games, as Logan would say. But five. It'll be 6. It'll be 5 games. They're producing. I'm happy as a Pittsburgher, and I'm really excited to see what the Pens can do against the Leafs.
This Yinzer's never really gotten into hockey, similar to how you two said.
Getting cold feet.
Cold feet.
This Yinzer's out. I mean, I'm something that I'm one of those guys that I'll follow the Penguins. Well, I just dropped my marker, but I'll follow the Penguins. But this Yinzer is out pretty much until the playoffs start because that's just how the Yinzer feels about hockey. When's RMU hockey start? This Yinzer will be in on RMU hockey, though, this weekend. I'll tell you that much.
Army, big matchup.
What about our next game? Yin's guys in on Thursday Night Football, Denver versus Arizona.
I'm not entirely sure, Logan. I don't know what I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm on the fence.
Yeah,
I'm on the fence for this one. I'm not out. I might pay attention. I might not. The only reason why I might pay attention is maybe try to keep up with the fantasy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'm on the fence for this one.
I think that I'm solely out, and I agree with Greg. The only thing I will keep up with this game for is my fantasy. It's not a huge priority game for me. I know it's Thursday Night Football national stage, but
is it just me, or is the Thursday night games kind of been weird this year
so
far?
They've been a little
Thursday
odd.
night games are usually the ones where they just they have to put a team.
They
out
gotta
there. So they put 2 teams. A combination record between Denver and Arizona, 3-9. But guess what?
Wow.
This Yinzer's in. You know why? Why? Because the Arizona Cardinals came out today. Rumors came out today that they are doing a fire sale. They are shopping everyone. And one of the players on the Cardinals, by the name of Patrick Peterson, with the Steelers, fixed their secondary issues. Steelers, Hayden, Peterson. This Yinzer's going to be in for the sole reason to see, will Peterson ever come to the Steelers? And if he does, what can we expect?
Fair.
Fair
I like
point,
that idea.
fair point.
Yeah. Huh.
Next one, the NBA season started yesterday. We got a bunch of games today. Are Yinz guys in on the NBA today?
I'm definitely in. I gotta say, my highlighted matchup is gonna be tonight. It's gonna be at MSG, the Mecca. Knicks taking on the Hawks. You know what? I think a lot of people gave the Knicks a lot of heck for last season and, just the past couple seasons. They haven't really been able to get out of the basement in the NBA, haven't been able to make the playoffs in the last couple seasons. But I think that you got two guys you got to look at. One is Kevin Knox, their first-round pick they acquired. He can really shoot the ball well, and he's really a good player offensively. And the other one, big guy, tall guy, KP, Kristaps Porzingis. This guy, the one thing I like about him, his three-point percentage. This guy can drain buckets from long range, but he's also a playmaker. He also sets up guys to score and is a good passer.
Yeah, Adam, I agree with you. This Yinzer's in too, even though we have an NBA team. I'm going with the Cavs and the Raptors. Cavs without LeBron. It's going to be interesting to see, how their new rebuild starts. They still have Love. They're obviously going to
love it, right?
Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. That's going to be interesting to see. I still was on the fence about that trade, considering he's not guaranteed to be here after this year. But those are two teams that are going to have interesting storylines this year.
And I'm also in, except my game's going to be the Pelicans versus the Rockets. Right now, the Rockets added Carmelo Anthony in the offseason, so now I have Carmelo, James Harden, Chris Paul, so that's going to be exciting. Wow, New Orleans only has Anthony Davis, so I'm excited to see what the Rockets can produce with that much stardom on one side of the ball.
Now, some more leagues, guys. MLB playoffs, both teams, all four teams in action tonight. Yinz in?
I got to say, I am out.
Really?
Yeah, I know
Wow.
it's shocking. Again, this is another thing that I don't follow baseball hugely, other than my Yankees, who were eliminated by the Bo Sox.
27 rings.
Yeah, so I honestly think that, don't get me wrong, they're going to be good matchups, but I already...
Oh, good. They better be good matchups.
I already can
Championship Series.
pick who is going on here. And I got to say,
It's
Boston.
2-2 and 2-1?
Yeah, Boston, and I got to say L.A. LA is going to
That's
move on.
interesting.
See,
The series is 2-2.
for me right now, this Yinzer's in, but he's parking his car in Harvard Yard. I'm real excited to see what Boston can do this postseason. I'm really excited because they did so well against the Yankees, and right now they're leading the series 2-1. I understand it's only a 3 games, so there's a 1-game difference. Anything could happen in that time, but I think the Red Sox have a real good chance at the series this year.
It's similar to the NBA. I love myself a good storyline. Sometimes you just open up storylines by the fire, and I just like to read a nice book. And there's storylines in these games that even more than just the fact that they're playoffs. Manny Machado with the dirty, the heel kick to Jesus Aguilar in the 2-2. That game's at 5:05. That excites me. The Astros caught cheating. That excites me. It's exciting, guys. There's storylines in the championship like this. And we to see which of these 4 teams goes to the World Series. So this Yinzer is definitely in. Well, I hope you guys like that segment as much as we do. Coming back from a commercial break shortly, we will have our final takes. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Upper Moore. It was really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we have our final takes. During this segment, we always get a little bit of time, uninterrupted time, to say whatever it is on our mind. And we will start with the Buffalonian, Adam Maluso.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? For my final take this week, let me address the oh-so-controversial and complex issue of Le'Veon Bell and the Pittsburgh Steelers. There could be many ways that I could talk about this interesting scenario, but simply put, my words to Le'Veon are this. It's time for you to pack your bags, hit the road out of the Steel City. Now, don't get me wrong, your stats speak for themselves, and I do believe you'll fit in fine in the NFL, no matter where you are. Just not here in the Burgh. Le'Veon, you've essentially held this team hostage. You complaining that you weren't being paid enough greenbacks. You no-showed practices and camps, and in an act of sheer confusion and juvenileness, you put out a rap video about your contract. Seriously, a rap video? Your antics have gotten tiresome for a majority of Steelers country, with many calling on social media for a trade to take place. It is simply time for someone young and hungry like James Conner to take your place, someone who I truly feel cares about this team and will soon eclipse your records. In the words of the legendary John Cena, Le'Veon, your time is up. James Conner's time is now.
Oh my, I know Logan's fire is burning now. Oh boy. For my final take this week, I would like to not focus on how Logan is wrong, but instead on Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is undefeated in his career in boxing, and he retired after his fight against Conor McGregor last August. But how can someone say they're retired, but continue to do the thing you retired from? Recently, Mayweather has tried to set up not one, but two fights. A rematch against Manny Pacquiao, and now against the undefeated lightweight UFC champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's a mouthful. And who beat Conor McGregor in the fourth round due to submission. Mayweather was called out by Khabib after his victory in UFC 229. Mayweather said the fight will happen even though no communication has happened between the two parties. Floyd, you aren't retired. You just take long vacations in between your fights. If you retire, you're done. So choose a side. Either be a boxer and a fighter, or solidify yourself as one of the best boxers in the history of the sport and retire forever.
Well, guys, before I start my final take, it's very adorable once again that you guys just throw my name out there. Adam, you didn't say anything on the Steelers question. You had this whole thing about Bell. I mean, come on.
I wanted to save the best for last, okay?
Well, for my final take, I'm not going to take a shot at you guys, or I'm not even going to talk about sports. I'm going to get a little bit personal for a second and dip away from sports. To those of you who watch the show, I imagine that a lot of you view me as the annoying guy who sits in the middle, doesn't know what he's talking about, as these guys nod their heads next to me, just get everybody else angry. And you probably wonder, how can two people deal with me for 30 minutes at a time each Wednesday? Well, every other Wednesday. Well, one person has been putting up with me for the past 5 years, and I'm going to dedicate this final take to her. Alexis, 1 week from today will officially mark 5 years in our relationship. During these 5 years, you have put up with me during the ups and downs of being a Pitt fan, the madness, the sadness and madness of losing McCutcheon, and the enjoyment of 2 Stanley Cups in addition to the non-sports fights in our lives. You have put up with my random rants about Disney being the equivalent of the evil empire and why Lord of the Rings is much better than Harry Potter. Anyway, Alexis, I love you, and here's to another 5 years.
Logan, let me say personally, congratulations on your
Congrats.
5-year
Thank
mark,
you.
buddy.
Thank
I'm
you.
really happy
Congrats
for
to
you
you as
guys.
well.
You guys
Thank
are a
you.
great couple, and I don't know how I put up with you for 30 minutes, let alone she's putting up with you for 5 years. And the whole time, I was just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's the first time you haven't been wrong.
Well, guys, thank you for the well wishes. It was all the time we have. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night, everyone.